Welcome back to another video, and today we are doing a final review of the McGrath Holiday Edition 2023. And considering that I was probably the first person on planet Earth to get this collection, the reels I made from this, it's I think one of my most viewed videos after my declutter video. So considering how popular that was, it took me quite a while to get this video together, but I really wanted to try both of the palettes I got from the holiday edition and have my thoughts sort of gathered how I feel about them. But let's get to the review itself. And I think we will start with the smaller palette of the two. So this is the quint that I got. So she released 5 of these quints this year. Last year there were only 2, and then there was the very massive big palette. This year she did things a bit differently. We got 2 of the bigger palettes, from which the second one I will be showing also in this video, but I bought only one of the 5 quints. And this one is called the Lunar Nightshade, and let's just move a little. And this is how the palette looks like. And as I already, I think, mentioned in my declutter video, I will be displaying swatches of this after this review part before reviewing the bigger palette, so you will also see how it looks swatched on the skin. And I also have quite many reels done with this quint, but also with the bigger palette. Now, regarding the Lunar Nightshade palette, the biggest issue I have with this one is the only matte in this. So this has one matte shade. It's this dark purple shade here called Nor Nebula. And for me, this shade is very patchy. I can't get it to work no matter what I do. I use the Gloss God eyeshadow base for all of my looks, but I have also tried it without using any kind of base, and it's just patchy. And when you consider that this only has 5 shades and the only matte shade that this has doesn't work, it's not exactly making me happy about making the purchase, because these are McGrath quints, so they are quite pricey. So that's the first downside of this one. The second thing what I'm not loving about this are these 2 silvery shades. So this one, the middle one, Pale Amethyst, is a more sparkly one, and the Neptunian Orchid with this one, it's a more satiny one. There's nothing wrong with the shimmer quality of this one, so all of the shimmers that this palette has, they are very beautiful, and their formula, there's no issues. I have been very liking working with them very much. However, unfortunately, the 2 silver shades in the middle, these look too similar once you get into your eyelids. So it kind of limits, again, what kind of looks you will get this. And I think my final take about this, that if you have only 5 shades in a palette, my expectation is that each of those shades brings something unique to the mix. So if you have one and only matte that isn't working properly, and then there are a couple of shimmers that look very similar once you get them to the eye, it sort of, for me, takes away from the whole experience of the palette. These 2 blue shades, the more turquoise one and then this one more darker blue, these are very good shades, and I think they are something that do bring something extra to this. So I think regarding the Lunar Nightshade palette, if you want blue and purple shades from McGrath, the blues in this work well, but don't expect anything great from the matte purple, and just be aware that the silver shades in this one, they are very similar once you get them to the eyelids. But as I said, regarding the shimmer shades quality, the quality of those is very good and something that I would definitely recommend. Just be aware that the matte in this palette isn't exactly the best matte you have ever seen or tried. So the next part of the holiday collection that I got was one of the bigger palettes, and it was the Starstruck Splendour. And my first comment about this when I got this, I remember opening the package. This is much bigger in real life than it looks in the promotional photos. I remember I already saw in one makeup group this particular palette. I think the cover image of it leaked a bit early, and it looked quite small in it, so I was thinking that maybe these would be like half of the size what they are. So just be aware if you get this is actually quite big. It's not as big as the like very big colorful palette she has come out in previous Christmases, but it's still big. And for example, this would not be something that I would for example travel with, because this doesn't fit in my travel makeup bag. But anyway, about the design, just like I forgot to say it in the review of the smaller palette, I do actually like the palette design. It's a bit over the top, and perhaps it's a bit too much inspired or reminds me of the Bridgerton collaboration she has done. However, I do still think that it's very cute, and the packaging overall, it's cardboard, but it's this more sort of higher quality cardboard, so it doesn't feel like it's cheap. Now about the insides of this palette, so I will try to, like I said, it's huge. So yeah, I think now you will be seeing it properly. I will try to adjust the, yeah, okay. Let's try to do this. So there is 2 of these palettes, and I chose this one because I felt that the other one, it was a bit too neutral, but I would have to say that both of these are quite neutral, and they perhaps, Pat McGrath uses quite a lot of heavy editing in her promotional videos, so both of also the bigger palettes look much more exciting in the promotional photos that they are. First, let's go to the thing that I really like about this, and I mentioned in the declutter that my favorite part of this are the blushes. So there's this more sort of brighter orange-pink blush in the down here, and then there is the more muted blush up here, and I'm actually wearing a look with this palette today. I didn't make a reel of it because I knew I would be filming this video. So I used the more neutral toned blush called Nymphet, and I actually do think I have this blush also individually. I'm not actually sure, I didn't research before the video, but it's something that you can and you should check before buying this, that do you already have the blush shades, and take into this consideration when you are making the purchase decisions. And then the pinkier shade is called Coral Cosmos, which, yeah, it's a pretty corally colored brighter blush, so I think that's also fitting. For today's look, I used 2 mattes, so I used the Serene Sienna and then this more darker brown, which is called Forever Nude. And then on the lid I used 2 of the shimmers, so I used this darker shade here, which is Emerald Eclipse, and then I did try to top it off with this more sort of pinky shade that I think she featured quite heavily in the promotional photos, which is called the Opalescent Moonstone. Now regarding the eyeshadow shades, it's something that we have seen from Pat McGrath quite many times already. So purely based on the mattes, if you have any of her bigger motherships, or if you have any of the limited edition palette she has done, I think for example the more purple toned mattes in this, they are very similar. That I think one of the Valentine's Day edition smaller 6-pan palettes that she came out with this year or last year, I think those are quite close to those. The shimmers, the more sort of golden bronzy shimmers, these aren't nothing new. You can find them in Pat McGrath palettes, but many other palettes. Then the sort of these 2 blue shades, I think something that if you're thinking that are these close to the shades that were in the Lunar Nightshade palette, then I think they are different enough. So if you're planning to buying both of the palettes, I do think that these 2, there is enough distinction between the 2 to have both of the palettes. This shade, I think the very sort of what she promoted heavily on the Opalescent Moonstone shade. One, I think, person asked or commented in my reel of this that is it similar to the, I believe, Huda Beauty Rose Quartz shimmers that she has. And I would actually say that the Rose Quartz shimmers, they are much more impactful. So something that you should be aware of these shimmers, the shimmer formula in this is very nice and it's very smooth. However, they do feel a bit dry. And for example, this shimmer, if you are thinking that is it something that's, for example, is in the Rose Quartz palette, then I would say that it is much more muted. You do get this sort of very nice pinky glimmery sheen on your eyelid, but if you're thinking about is it impactful as perhaps some of the other similar shimmers, then no, it is much more muted. And generally when you feel the shimmers in this, they do feel a bit more drier, and they aren't definitely one of those special shades that she has put in her bigger mothership palettes. Then about the matte quality of this palette, unlike in the quint that I got, I do actually like the matte quality of this palette, but then you would have to also remember that these are very typical neutral matte, so it would actually be a bit worrying if the formula of these would be patchy. At least I would be quite angry, because I did get some type of discount from this, but I still bought it relatively close to the full price of the palette because I bought this at launch. So the mattes are on the more buildable side, but they aren't patchy. So you will get good mattes, and generally I have liked working with this more because it has still like 4 mattes, so there's actually like more options for me, and I'm a person, for example, who can't just use all shimmer shades to create a look. I need some type of mattes to build up the look. So, about the final thoughts of this year's holiday collection. I think overall, if you are a Pat McGrath collector, there is very little new about these palettes. The more blue-green shades, they are very nice quality, and they do, I think, add something a bit different, but they aren't, for example, as a person who owns a lot of indie shades. And now when I'm thinking about it generally, that if you just have also a lot of Pat McGrath palettes, she hasn't done blue-green shades a lot, but I do still think that I don't think they are unique enough on their own that if you want to get something very special, then probably don't buy the holiday collection. However, if you want to have some, if for example you don't have a big Pat McGrath collection, or you want to try her brand, but you don't want to put your money into the like very big motherships, because those are very expensive, especially if you're buying them at full price. And I have always said that never buy Pat McGrath at full price, because she will always have on sales. But I think if this is your first time trying Pat McGrath, and you, for example, want to also try her blushes at the same time, then I think, for example, these bigger palettes would be something that I think you could start with, because you sort of get the feel for her more like matte formula, and you also get some feel what are the more like basic shimmers, because you do also have to remember that also in her motherships, not all of them are special shades, and especially the new mothership, which for me, I don't think the shades she put in those are no longer special shades. They are just basic shimmer shades that do shift a little, and that is why I haven't bought the newest mothership. So if you want to get a feel for the brand, and you want to also get a feel for the blushes, then I would say that actually these would be a good place to start with. Now about the quints. Like, these are nice. These are something that I could imagine traveling with, and I do like having these in my collection, and I'm also glad that I only bought one to try them out. And definitely for the shimmers, these are very beautiful, and I think if you're looking to fill in your collection with some individual shades and you want some good creamy shimmers that you know will be impactful, then these quints would be quite good. I can't, of course, say that what is the matte quality in the other quints, so that is, take that as you will. But generally, the shimmers in these are very nice, and a lot of the shimmers. Last year she had this really nice creamy formula in her quints, and that is why I actually wanted to buy another quint from this year's collection. These are not. All of these have the sort of creamy formula. In here, I think the bluish shimmers and one of the more sparkly shades, the more sparkly silver shade, which was this one in the middle. So these three had the more creamier formula that I think she had also in her last year palette. This felt more like this, just your average normal shimmer, but it's still very nice quality. So if you're looking for something small and you like the shimmer formula from last year's quints, then I would buy these. Just be aware that the matte, well, at least in this one, it was what it was, but it could be that the mats in the other prints are better quality. So overall, I think I would end this video by saying that look what you have in your collection, especially with Pat McGrath, because I know a lot of Pat McGrath fans are that we collect her products, so it could be that you already have something similar from her, or you have something similar with other brands. So wait and see, maybe wait if, I don't know if she will include this already in the Black Friday sale, but definitely maybe wait and see that if you will be able to get some sort of better discount with these before you just go and buy them. But nevertheless, I am quite happy to own these and I don't regret buying these, and these are products that I will get use out of. But definitely look through your collections before making the buying decisions regarding the holiday collection this year. That was all for today. Comment down below what did you think? Did you buy anything from her holiday collection this year? Are you planning to buy anything from the Pat McGrath holiday collection this year? Or will you be waiting for the Black Friday sale, or maybe see after Christmas if these will go on a steeper discount on her website? If you like this video, then please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this, and if you want to get notifications, then ring the bell button below. But other than that, I'm happy that you have been here and taken your time to watch this video, and I hope I will see you again. Bye bye!